don't know the power of the dark side.
I'm not a baby, I'm a man. I am an anchor man.
Is this a kissing book?
The way I see it, if you're going to build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style?
Hello, welcome along to Just Like in the Movies, brought to you by GK Media Ltd, coming to you from iCinema Galway on a Friday evening because lots of movies have come out this week, especially Joker, that we're very excited to talk about. Dave and Lisa have just come out of the screening of Joker, but hold the commentary and the reviews. We'll get to it later. First off, though, we're going to take a look at Renee Zellweger's latest film, Judy.
Thank you, ladies, for the way. Thank you. Thank you. It's right out here, Judy.
Okay, here we go, boys.
What's the matter?
Ladies and gentlemen.
I can't. What? No. What do you mean you can't? There's an audience out there waiting to hear you sing.
My mouth's dry and it could fall apart.
Listen to me.
Judy!
I can't.
You'll be fine. Now, on you go.
That's a clip taken from the movie Judy, starring Renee Zellweger, and there's already talk of Oscars for her, but it's based on the time that Judy Garland headed to London in the late 60s, I think we're on 1968. Lisa, you were dying to see this film when it came out a few weeks ago.
Indeed, I was.
So tell us, it's about Judy going to London.
It's Renee Zellweger giving the performance of her life, in my opinion, as Judy Garland in her final months. And there are flashbacks to her youth, not very many, but like important flashbacks from little bits that were like,
to explain why she's the way she is now.
She was the way she was, and it was just a very good film, very solid performance, very very good film. Yeah.
Was the closing of it? Did it kind of give you a lump in the throat or tears in the eyes?
I maybe did. I maybe had a little small tear, but I'm made of stone.
Of course.
So that's a big deal. No, it's just when they roll the credits, and it's like just before the credits when they have like what age she was when she died, and everyone gasped because we couldn't believe that she was actually only 47 when she died, and it was 6 months after the closing scene of the movie, and very sad, but very like well done, like costumes, acting, everything, the music, just the music, her voice. You thought it was Judy Garland, like it was amazing.
Dave, I saw a documentary last year on Judy Garland, and like it's horrible the way that her last years went, and the kind of where she was living at that stage in London as well. It was just a really run-down place.
There's a lot of merit in this movie. Obviously, Judy Garland is an icon, and she's a gay icon. There's a little subplot about these gay men in the 60s who are struggling with life, and being gay in the 60s was very difficult, I'd imagine. And they kind of bring the plot. It's kind of a, what is this about? And then they come in at the end, and it's a nice tie-off. But it's I was excited to see it because I've heard the buzz around it. For me, it was a little bit of a kind of a really well-made TV movie, as in BBC Films involved. The camera work was a bit TV-ish, lots of mid-shots and sets, and very little, even the exterior stuff was a lot of set work, and it looked a bit, cheap.
But were they trying to just match the TV shows of the concert, we'd say, in the late 60s?
I think so, perhaps. I mean, it could have been a choice. I'm not aware of that, but it was certainly tangible that it wasn't as cinematic in its scale. So, for example, if you look at Walk the Line, for example, cinematic, in the real world, streets of, middle America in the 50s and 60s, and cars driving by and stuff. Like, the production design in this was limited. I mean, the costumes were phenomenal, right? Costumes and the makeup, and Judy Garland's performance by Renee Zellweger is
flawless.
It's pretty flawless. I mean, it's a fabulous performance, and very nuanced, and lots of physicality and movement and everything. It's very, very well done. Like, Renee Zellweger, really impressive, and apparently she does all the singing as well.
Yes, she does.
And it's not just like I'm singing Judy Garland songs. It's she's acting, and
Judy.
She's breaking down and having emotional. It's very very well made, and the film itself is just a little bit flat for me. as a cinema lover because it wasn't very cinematic. And anybody who loves cinema will know what I mean in terms of, you know, shots and camera movements. It was a bit by the book, but the story was very interesting. And I just found it a bit narrow, the story, because it's just about this period where she's on tour in London at the end of her life. And there's a couple of flashbacks to when she's a kid, and you know.
I thought they would be more interesting.
Yeah,
to flesh out
I thought they would have fleshed out, and then maybe some intervening stuff. You know, between now and when she was a kid, some of the intervening stuff was just she's a kid with Louis B. Mayer, and he's this tyrant to her, and she's not allowed to eat, and this
everything is staged for her. Her birthday parties,
her birthday
or
parties.
dates with
It's very
Mickey
sad.
Rooney.
And then we're back to this period in life. So you know, interesting movie. Renee
Was it a
Zellweger.
movie that needed to be made, do you think?
That was another thing I thought. Like, you know, Judy Garland, she only lived to be 47, sadly, and, you know, she died in the 60s, and that's, you know, 45 odd years ago. And, like, does that story need to be told? Maybe there's people who, you know, I'm sure there's people who love Judy Garland. She was a great performer, but, you know, I know there's an Elvis movie coming.
Yeah.
Baz Luhrmann, I believe, is making it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, that needs to be made because Elvis Presley is the king.
But we've seen so much about Elvis.
Yeah, but I mean, we've never seen a movie. Like, you know, we've got Ray and we've got Walk the
And the
Line.
one
And,
Val Kilmer where he plays him.
And Kurt Russell played him,
Or
didn't
Kurt
he?
Russell, not Val
but
Kilmer.
I mean, we've never seen a big budget, you know, epic biopic of Elvis. And you've got Walk the Line and this and Bohemian Rhapsody, etc. All these fabulous movies. And you're like, do they need to be told? Maybe Judy should have been made 20 years ago. Who knows? But it's meritorious.
Maybe it wouldn't have been as raw if it was made 20 years ago as well.
Perhaps. And I mean, for example, Liza Minnelli, as we all know, is this huge character in the world. She's in this movie she's portrayed in this movie for
10 seconds.
5 seconds. And I'm like, I want to see more of that story.
Well, Liza Minnelli actually publicly made it clear through her Facebook account that she had never met nor spoken to Renee Zellweger and made it clear that she personally did not approve nor sanction this film project in any way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe
maybe that's why she was only in it for a couple of seconds. But I just think there could have been a lot more done with this film. It's a good film. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. But it's for me, it's kind of a big budget, well-made TV movie, which is not a bad thing.
Should she get an Oscar nomination, Renee Zellweger, for her
I
performance in
think
this?
so.
I think she should get a nomination for sure, definitely.
We'll have
And
to
I
see
think
what else comes out.
I think she will. What do you think?
As in, like, I haven't seen anything so far this year that would beat that kind of performance.
Yeah, it's a very good performance.
Tell you a quick little story about Renee Zellweger. I was in Santa Monica a few years ago on honeymoon, and across from the hotel was this, what looked like a real shack of a restaurant. And we passed it every evening going out for dinner. And on the last night, we said, okay, last night in Santa Monica, let's ask the concierge downstairs in the hotel lobby, where's the best place to eat around here? He says, right across the road, steakhouse. That building? He goes, yeah. I said, oh, all right. So we walked across the road, and we said, we'll peek in first, because it looked like absolute rundown place from the outside. And this blonde lady was just ahead of us. And she went in, and we looked in, and it looked lovely inside. This blonde lady ended up being Renee Zellweger,
Wow.
who was just sitting 3 tables away from us. And we had like 3 courses. We had a bottle of wine, we had a jug of water, had another jug of water. That lady has the strongest bladder because she didn't go to the toilet at all. In the 2.5 to 3 hours we were there waiting for her to pass us at the table so we could maybe kind of
Say
hello and maybe get an autograph instead of going over while she's
Yeah.
eating or whatever. But yeah.
Well, fair play to you for not annoying her.
Yeah.
But interesting story, yeah.
Yeah, and then you go into the toilet and they have a list of all the men that were in this toilet, like Leonardo DiCaprio, Matt Damon.
How do they know? They have somebody at the toilet
I don't know, but
click, next.
but you're just
Note
sitting on
to
the
self,
toilet, it's like,
don't go to the toilet in Hollywood.
well, all the bums that have rubbed this seat.
And moving along.
I was going to tell my Mickey Rooney story, but now I'm not going to
Yeah.
bother.
Oh,
He gave out to me. He was like, why must you take a photo now? And I was like, I'm sorry. And he was just mean. I didn't like him.
Right.
Mean man. Granted, he was like
He might have-
crotchety and 90 at the time.
He might have been just
so-
having a bad day.
He was having a good day. He was brought over here.
In
and
future shows, I'll tell
Well, he
you.
was in Ireland.
He was
in
in
Galway,
Ireland.
was
It was
he?
in Galway, yeah.
Okay.
In
I
future
can't disclose the
In
location.
future stories, I'll tell you a few stories like that. But, you know, they're just people like us. They have good days and bad days.
Anyways, out of 5,
Oh, yeah.
review, ratings,
3.5.
3.5. Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 2.5 because I feel that it's a TV movie. For me, the sets they're well made, but they're very claustrophobic and small. There's no kind of scope to this film, and but Renee Zellweger's performance is excellent. Some of the other actors are a bit underused. Michael Gambon, for example, and some of the unknown actors are going to be unknown for the rest of their lives. Let's leave it there.
Ooh.
Controversial. Okay, there you go. That's the review for Judy out in cinemas now. Go and check it out at iCinema Galway. Next up, we're looking at the new Irish movie, Dark Lies the Island, which is coming out October the 18th. We got to see a sneak screening of it, and we're really looking forward to telling you all about it, so stay with us.
Doggy Mannion, also known as the Dog Man.
I'm not saying he's an oil painting, but Jesus God, Rachel, when you're hammering around the place in a size 22 for dress size, it's not going to be George Clooney landing in the door and wafting espresso off.
The lease is here for you. Did you sign it?
After buying chipper. Still doing the twofers over Monday. The what? 2 snack baskets for the price of one. All you do is go around town following your lad. Says he, and he took up with my brother's missus. Leave it.
That's a clip taken from director Ian Fitzgibbon's feature film Dark Lies the Island, with a pretty much all-star cast when it comes to really the pinnacle of Irish actors here on the island. It's coming out October 18th. As I said, though, we got to get a sneak preview of it during the week. So, Dave, we'll go to you first, if you can kind of sum up this whole family feud taking place in a small Irish town.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically it's a family feud. There's Pat Short plays the patriarch, the father, and he has a trophy wife, his second wife. His first wife apparently died in mysterious circumstances or committed suicide. We're never really exactly sure. And he has 2 sons who are played by
Mo Dunford
and Peter Coonan, and they're both quite messed up, shall we say?
Yeah.
And they have this kind of underworld crime thing going on. It's a bit not very well developed. And I think the daughter is his daughter with the new wife, and he's a bit of an unpleasant man.
Pat Short.
He's an unpleasant man, and there's a big family feud, and they all hate each other, and mental illness and drugs, and they're all unhappy with each other. And there's
because his wife is into his son as well.
Yeah, his wife and his his new wife is playing around and toying with both of her stepsons. One of them she actually sleeps with, and there's a lot of sexual deviance going on. And then Tommy Tiernan is this strange character that just comes to the town, and we don't know what his backstory is, but he's a troubled guy, and it's very serious. So if you're thinking, oh, Pat Short and Tommy Tiernan, this is going to be hilarious, you're in the wrong movie. It's very dark. Like, it's as dark lies the island, and dark lies the plot and the tone of this film. But I have to say, Tommy Tiernan his performance is amazing. In fact, I thought all the performances, all the actors did very well.
Yeah.
And I think there's one scene where Pat Short and Tommy Tiernan are in the same scene on the street outside the chipper. And there was a moment of, this better be funny, and it's not, but it's brilliant.
Yeah,
They're really like actors. They are not comedians anymore as far as I'm concerned. They're both serious actors with chops. And I'm like, if only these two had been discovered as serious actors earlier in their career, they would have had a lot more acting roles, I think.
Like, I think the first 2 minutes of Tommy Tiernan on screen, there's a multitude of performances or kind of personalities he portrays, from when he rides into the auctioneers and he's looking for a form to sign or whatever, and he's really introvert and he's very strange, and then he falls into the social norm of just the waffle talk with the girl who's doing her homework, and then it gets really dark when he's upstairs in the chipper, and it's a performance I never saw from Tommy Tiernan. Like, we've seen him in Derry Girls and stuff, but I thought...
But you always know that a comedian is going to have a dark side to them anyway.
That's what they say.
I don't know. Like, that's what they say.
Yeah.
But I think we've seen it from Pat Short before in Garry. We see it again in this one. It's quite dark. It's quite I'm not going to say too much. I don't want to give it away.
Okay, well, I loved the cinematography as well.
Oh,
I thought it was amazing.
Really?
And the colours reminded me of the pilot of Breaking Bad, where they really played on the greens and the yellows and reds.
Yeah, and lots of shallow depth of field, and people are out of focus, and they come into focus, and it's atmospheric. There's, it's a lake, and it's mysterious, and there's mist and mountains, and it's actually quite well shot, I have to say. On a technical level, one note to the Foley artists, who did a great job, but there's a moment where what's the son's name with the blonde hair?
Dog,
yeah, Doggy. He throws a knife at a crow and says, "I warned you."
Yeah.
And it's really playing into his man. And the knife goes into a rubber tire and sits there for the whole movie. And it gets damp, and there's lovely shots around it. And then towards the climax of the movie, he's agoraphobic and he won't leave. Eventually he leaves his caravan in the woods, and he pulls the knife dramatically out of a tire, and we get a lovely sound effect of a sword leaving a scabbard. Like metal on metal. It's like, it's a rubber, it's a tire. It's not going to go... So that made me laugh. But, you know, fair play to the sound designers. They did the best they could. But it's very well made.
Yeah.
Like this movie punches above its weight, I think.
Yeah. Lisa, what did you make of it?
I don't know. I don't know. It's just up there with all of those Irish movies that I have certain feelings about. I just think that I don't like the portrayal that I don't know who wrote this, but like the
Kevin
portrayal
Barry,
of country people and mental illness, and that it kind of feels like that the city guys were playing these country bumpkins, and especially Peter Coonan. I couldn't warm to any of the characters.
Did you find it a bit cliched?
Yeah, it was quite cliched. It was, you know, guy lives up in a place, and it's just, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, because I actually thought it was quite different from a lot of Irish movies that have come out in the past couple of decades. I thought it...
Because of the drug dealing and stuff wasn't
Well,
in
I
Dublin
suppose
this time?
it's more the cinematic thing that really caught my eye. I just thought, wow, we've really...
Yeah, I think it was a
took
lot
it up
more
a notch.
cinematic than Judy was, for
Yeah.
example. And it had a shoestring budget, comparatively speaking, by the way. I mean, Ian Fitzgibbon, you know, I worked with him on, you know, show bands 15 years ago, whatever it is. And he's a good director, and he's a good eye, and there's a lot of nice shots in this film. And, you know, the plot is a bit farcical. Flimsy, it's farcical, it's a family feud. We never really get to the crux of it, and there's actions happening, and you're not really invested because they didn't have the time or the scope to get into the story. You kind of have to infer things. And but I have to say, I thought this movie punched above its weight quite a bit.
Yeah, it leaves me with too many questions, though. I'm still wondering... What was the deal with Tommy Tiernan? Well, I want his backstory.
Yeah,
maybe there's a Dark Light the Island
enjoyed
part
that.
2 with Tommy Tiernan on his own.
I enjoyed the fact that we didn't get Tommy Tiernan's backstory.
Yeah.
That's just me.
I like that.
Yeah, but you know, if you're watching The Killing or even a little bit of Twin Peaks, it constantly has you asking questions. And I think we've gotten used to so many films out just telling us the story from A to Z, and it's completely completed. You know, that we're used to just walking out with all the answers there.
There was a couple of bits of the script that were overdone and overcooked in terms of exposition, and the two lads in the van, these two goms, two goms in the van going, geez, we owe them this money, what do we do, blah, blah, blah. It's a bit cliche and a bit on the nose. And then on the flip side of that, you have fabulous moments where, there's no spoilers here, as you know, it's a very convoluted movie, but there's a moment where somebody jumps into the lake at night. It's very well shot, and really, and that it had great cinematography and costumes and everything. It was really well made. And then Tommy Tiernan is this character, and he just happens to be there, and he's a dark character, and he jumps in to save somebody. I'm not going to go into detail. And he extracts her from the lake, and he's exhausted. There's no big dialogue. There's no big event. It's just kind of silence and, you know, breathing, and it's really well made. And Tommy Tiernan blew me away in this film. He was fabulous in this. Like, Derry Girls, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
And he's great on stage. We know his manic comedy. I've been watching Tommy Tiernan. I've had a few pints with him back in the 90s when he was a young lad like myself, and I'm amazed with his performance.
I'd agree with you 100% as well, that I thought Tommy's performance was just wow.
Yeah.
Like, really, we need to see more of him on celluloid.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so out of 5, Dave?
Out of 5, I'm going to give it 4. I'm going to give it 4 because they probably had a shoestring budget, and they made it look good. It's an interesting story. A little bit loose in parts, but well made, and 4 stars from me.
Excellent. Lisa?
2. Sorry.
Ouch.
I can't help it.
Multiplied by?
2.5.
2.5.
Maybe.
Higher.
Okay, for an Irish movie that wasn't based in Dublin, I'll give it a 3.
All right, there we go.
I mean, the 4 for me is because it surprised me.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be a lot of Irish schlock that we see, and it wasn't.
Yeah,
and
no.
that's why it's getting a 4 for me. Plus, hats off to them.
There you go. The lads were well impressed with Dark Lies, The Island. So maybe it's more a lads movie, not a date movie, Lisa.
Maybe. We'll see.
There you go. It's definitely well worth seeing anyways. It's a great Irish movie coming out in cinemas nationwide October 18th. And as always, make sure you check it out at iCinema Galway. Next up, we're looking at, or talking about, because we've already seen it, the highly anticipated Joaquin Phoenix performance in Joker.
Can you please stop bothering my kid?
Sorry.
Arthur, I have some bad news for you. This is the last time we'll be meeting.
You don't listen, do you? You just ask the same questions every week. How's your job? Are you having any negative thoughts? All I have are negative thoughts.
There you go. That's a clip taken from Todd Phillips' Joker, starring the amazing Joaquin Phoenix, about Arthur Fleck, a man who crumbles under the pressure of society. Did you like that intro?
Yes. Yes. Is that what is written down? Did you come up with that?
It is written down, but I remembered it this time.
Hey.
But I having to read the card. Okay, Dave, I've known you a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is definitely one of the most excited I've seen you coming out of a movie.
Yeah.
Tell me about Joker.
I feel that, you know, a new movie has entered into the lexicon of legendary films immediately. I don't even know where to begin. The direction, the sound design, the production design, the Gotham City in the 80s, the violence, the strings of his soul, the music, and it's beyond, like, when we get to the stars here, I'm going to have to get some extra paper because it's just a masterpiece. That's what I'm just going to start by saying. I'm going to drop my cards on the table and say this film is a masterpiece, and I'm going to go and see it again as soon as possible.
Is it based on Joker from Batman?
Yes, of course.
But very different from what we've seen before.
Well, I think it's a...
It's probably
kind of
resemblances to Heath Ledger, is it?
It's carrying on from Heath Ledger's performance, I think. That was when we saw the other side of the Joker, and as apart from like just the chaos, we saw like that he had a backstory and he had different things going on, but this takes it to another level that we've never seen before in terms of DC movies. Like, this is not a DC movie, this is a Warner Brothers movie, although it's Warner Brothers DC on the back burner, no? Mm-hmm. But it's a Todd Phillips movie at the end of the day. This is the guy that brought us The Hangover.
Yes.
And he brings us this masterpiece of a movie with one of the best performances I've ever seen of an actor in my life. Joaquin Phoenix. Amazing.
If Joaquin Phoenix doesn't win the Oscar, I'm going to do this show after the Oscars with Joker makeup on.
Oh,
that's my bet.
All right.
If he doesn't win it, like, I'm not saying nomination. If he doesn't win,
yeah.
I mean, phenomenal. The physicality, the madness, you could feel it crawling up your back. The descent into madness, the fight that he was fighting the madness all the way through. He's a man with mental illness. Mm-hmm. He's doing his best to survive. He's doing all the right things. He's been in a mental institution. He's trying to be nice. He's a kids performer. He's doing his job. Everybody's mean to him. Everybody's rotten to him. He gets beaten up. The social services that are keeping him going and his medication, they take that away from him. Mm-hmm. The world is crumbling around him. He finds out, I'm not going to give any spoilers actually, because
no, don't give any spoilers.
There's some his life is shredded. Mm-hmm. And just when you think he can't get any worse, it's like his soul is ripped from inside of him by the world around him through no fault of his own. And even his first proper crime in this movie was not his fault.
Okay.
And the descent into madness, it's not a descent into madness, he is pulled into madness. And there's a point at which he lets go and he allows the madness to pull him in. And it is a glorious cinematic moment of physicality, costume, nuance, music, sound. It's a release and it is phenomenal. It's one of the best performances I've ever seen on screen in my little life, and I've seen everything.
Yeah.
Literally.
They say as well it pays homage a little bit to Taxi Driver and King of Comedy, and of course De Niro's in it as well.
Yeah.
Playing like a stand-up kind of TV
He's
host.
the Johnny Carson TV host guy. I mean, there's pieces of Taxi Driver. There's pieces of Requiem for a Dream. It's just an absolute masterpiece. And there's a few little nods of the hat to The Dark Knight and the Heath Ledger thing. The famous scene in
with
The Dark Knight
with
the pearls, but we've seen the pearls.
We've seen that in everything.
But there's a famous moment where Joker or the Joker in The Dark Knight, where he's like leaning out of the police car and he's like, you know, this. And in this, there's a wonderful scene where Joker is in the police car kind of mirroring that. He's got his head up against the glass and he's looking out at the chaos outside.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, I'm not going to use the word masterpiece very often. I mean, this film is an absolute masterclass in psychological transition from, you know, insanity to distilled pure rage, losing it. And it's flawless, this film. Flawless.
Lisa, you tend to often disagree with Dave.
I often do, Gary.
And-
but on this film,
and-
I'm not going to do that because it was amazing. It's just, it's class. It's perfect. As a movie, Todd Phillips, thumbs up. You are just awesome.
The direction, the camera movement, the cinematography, the atmosphere, the plot, the story. It's, I mean, I'm going to nitpick one. There's one scene, which is a pivotal scene, that I think was a little bit out of place because it was good.
Which one?
And the rest of the movie is phenomenally good. Okay. You know, when they're sitting like you and I in the studio, that scene was a little bit out of place, I felt, in terms of tone. But at the end of that scene, it just goes right back to the proper tone, and the movie is, I mean, I'm replaying it in my head. The noise, there's these strings that are like, and you can feel the tension of his mind that he's fighting the madness.
Yeah.
And he's constantly smoking and twitching. And there's a great scene where a lovely piece of production design where, this is no spoilers here, people, but he's just feeling so much that he rips everything out of the refrigerator. It's just a still shot of him leaning it, and then he just kind of explodes, and he rips the shelves and all the stuff out of the old refrigerator, and then he gets into it and closes the door. And the camera just lingers on this kitchen of madness, and he's locked. He's closed himself into the refrigerator just to kind of, and it's, I mean, this, if I swear to God, I will wear the makeup if he doesn't win the Oscar.
And dye your hair green.
I'm not going to dye my hair green. I have to go to work the following day.
Maybe
But
a
I will
wig.
wear the makeup and I will wear a wig
Yes.
for the whole show, for one of our shows after the Oscars, if he doesn't win the Oscar for this, because it's as sure as eggs is eggs, he will win an Oscar for this. And if he doesn't, there's something seriously wrong in the world.
Okay, well, I look forward to seeing Joaquin win an Oscar for this. But I also look forward to seeing Dave in talcum powder and lipstick. And
Yeah.
come on, I'm sure you can get green hair that can be washed out again.
Yeah.
I have no problem. There's no, like, I'm as sure as eggs, this is not going to happen.
Yeah.
De Niro, what about De Niro?
De Niro was De Niro.
Yeah, he was good. I mean,
He was De Niro.
He was good. I mean, he played the character that he played very well.
Yeah.
He actually, people are talking about this comparison between this and King of Comedy, and he kind of plays the Jerry Lewis character in this, who is the expert kind of, hi, welcome to my show, and you know, he's like you. He's like,
Yeah, hi, welcome, just like in the movies.
yeah, and you know, and it's almost a role reversal because Joker or Arthur Fleck, he's playing the Robert De Niro character, kind of, but not really. And but it like, this is better than King of Comedy in so many ways, and I love King of Comedy.
Yeah.
It's a masterclass in character, story, ancillary, everything. And there's violence in this film, and it's understandable violence. You can understand. It's visceral, understandable, and a descent into madness with this kind of level of violence done this well it's phenomenal.
I don't think it's any harm to even touch on this subject because I know it's been quite controversial across the water, you know, with the violence that's in it. And the director's defended saying that, you know, it's real and you feel it. Whereas, you know, like I remember watching Itchy and Scratchy in The Simpsons and like, ha ha ha, it's like a take on Tom and Jerry, but it's more violent. And then like I've watched cartoons with my daughter, even Tom and Jerry, and it's like, well, this is just like Itchy and Scratchy. It's like there's so much violence in cartoons and that we get used to it, or it's the norm.
We
Even
get
nursery rhymes are
desensitized,
violent.
Completely
But then when
desensitized.
it's in a movie, we seem to kind of get a little bit more conservative or something. But as I said, the violence in this it's real, but it's felt.
Yeah, one of the kind of strange things about this film is you empathize with Joker.
Yeah.
You are on his side.
You want him to win.
You want him to win, even though there's no conflict, he win or lose. But like his struggles are, you feel them and you feel for him, and you're like, oh, you know. And he has fantasy moments in this where he's visualizing his world, how it could be and stuff. And it's
Spoiler alert.
No, but like spoiler alert. But
Yeah.
there's no spoiler. There's moments where things are happening, and are they happening or are they not happening? And he's wishing that they're happening, and yada yada yada. But it's not a spoiler alert. But how dare you? But no, I wouldn't do that to anybody. But I mean, it just shows that he's trying so hard to hold on, and it feels like every couple of minutes another fingernail goes off the edge, and then he's got one fingernail left, and he's holding on, and he wants to hold on, and he wants to not be insane, but the world keeps pushing him in the wrong direction. And when he lets go, it's both frightening and glorious, and his performance in this, again, I'm waxing lyrical. Unbelievable. Like,
it's impressive as well that the budget for this was 55 million, which for these kind of hero movies, shall we say, are,
It's a little low.
Yeah, it's pretty much half
But
of
I think
what...
this is because it's not one of those action.
This is not a superhero movie. This is not a comic book movie. This is
not for the kids.
Psychological drama.
No.
This is a psychological drama. Is what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's not an action movie.
Yeah.
It's not a thriller as such. Really, there's a bit of thriller in it, but it's a drama, psychological masterclass in character, performance, design, and atmosphere. And I was talking to a friend of mine recently about, like, do we need a Joker origin story? Isn't it kind of cooler that we don't know his origins, that he's just madness? I'm afraid that conversation was wrong, because this movie is just 6 stars for me. 6.
Yeah. I knew you were blown away by it when it came out. So out of 5, 6?
6.
Okay.
Can I give it 12? Literally a master. If I see a better film than this in the next year, I'll be blown away.
Okay, excellent. Lisa?
I'm a classicist, so I'm going to go with 5.
Hey!
Because, 5 out of 5.
That's the first 5 you've ever given.
That's the first 5 I've ever
And we know it's the first 6 Dave has ever given.
110%. 110%.
A must-see movie.
It's a must-see.
For anyone over the age of, I want to say, at least 60?
Yeah, you need to be... there's stuff in it. There's violence and there's language and there's stuff in this that you don't want the kids to see. But it's a must-see, and you got to see it in the cinema. Come to the iCinema and see it, because the sound in this is amazing, and it's cinematic to 11. It's maxed out, the cinematic style, the atmosphere, the city, the dirt, the grime. To see this descent into madness on a big screen, it's a must-see, and it's a must-see in the cinema. Don't wait for this film.
No.
So there you go, Joker out in cinemas now. We've been really, really excited about it for the last few months. It is out now, as I say, and better than we could have ever imagined. So make sure you check it out at your local cinema or at iCinema Galway. And speaking of the eye, let's have a quick little message from them. Thanks again to iCinema Galway for supporting us and being partners with us for Series 4 of Just Like in the Movies. Just a couple of things I want to talk about before we wrap up. Did anyone get to check out Brendan Grace's TV documentary that was on during the week? Thank you for the memories.
I have it recorded. Yeah, I'm going to watch it. We're too busy watching movies. I have to squeeze these things in, so I'm hoping to watch it the weekend, because it looks really interesting.
Yeah, well worth a watch, and a great job by Brian Redden, and gives a great insight to the man and how humble he was and everything. And it starts off with footage of him in his bed at the Galway clinic 3 days before he passed away, where he does a little message to camera. So it really starts off as quite a powerful documentary.
Well, he was a national treasure, and he'll always be remembered in Ireland as probably the best comedian in Ireland. Butler and all the rest of them, and
Well, you could bring the family to Brendan Grace without having to block ears or close eyes.
I don't know how many times I've got out of the Christmas black hole by producing a Brendan Grace DVD, and
Or
she's
VHS.
delighted with it. And I'm like, thank God, because Brendan Grace, everybody loves him. Like, my nephews love him, my brother loves him, my mother, everybody across the range loves him. And apparently he was a very, very lovely man. Never met him, but he was a lovely man.
Met him a few times, went to see his show. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And finally then, a story just coming out during the week is that Sky TV are going to be involved in a TV series about the pursuit of notorious Boston crime boss, Jamie White Bulger. James White Bulger, who I'm convinced as well I met in Santa Monica that same week that I met Renee Zellweger.
You met Jimmy Bulger.
I'm convinced of it. And this is,
wow.
I think,
I'm
5
just
years
gonna
before
call
he
him-
was
don't
actually
call him
found.
Jimmy, his name is Whitey Bulger.
Jimmy Whitey.
Whitey.
Bulger, yeah.
He's dead now. Anyway.
I know, but still.
Not that I want any of his associates to come
We're just
looking for me
kidding, lads, we're
'cause
just
I got his name kind of wrong. It is James Whitey Bulger.
But I mean, it could be a great thing because it's a great property because legendary crime story, and I'm sure there was a queue of people to option that story, and obviously Sky got there, so.
Yeah, but Jack Nicholson already played him in the movie.
So did Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
So did Johnny Depp. Jack Nicholson was better, but
I was going to say, do you think they should get Johnny Depp back for this?
Well,
He won't
maybe,
do it.
but the thing is, he's too expensive. But the thing is, they want to have, they want to flesh it out. That's why a lot of these great stories now, the cinema isn't the first place they go because they need more time to tell this story. Like Game of Thrones couldn't do that in a movie or even 3.
But they could have done the final season probably.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. But these stories are so much bigger, and you can get a lot more out of them. And when you put a production together like this, the potential to have it run over 4 or 5 years and generate a lot of cash and a lot of viewers and a lot of advertising stuff, it makes more financial sense for the likes of Sky. But plus Sky have to compete with Netflix. And I was like, I might get rid of Netflix, and then like, oh God, that's coming. Oh God, I can't do anything with Netflix because there's so much good stuff coming that they're all up in their game. So could be good, could be great. Wait and see.
Anyways, that's pretty much the only exciting news I came across in the world of TVs and TV news and film during the week. But the main thing is we saw 3 really good movies during the week.
Yeah.
And I think we're kind of recommending that you go and check out all of them.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but especially Joker.
Oh God, don't miss Joker. Don't
miss it.
Don't miss it.
Okay, Dave Coyne, thank you for joining us.
Pleasure as always.
Lisa, thank you for joining us.
No problem.
And thank you for joining us for episode 4 of Just Like in the Movies, brought to you by GK Media Ltd in association with iCinema Galway. Subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Spotify, subscribe on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find us. Please share the news, spread the love. We'd really appreciate it. And we look forward to talking to you again next weekend about more movies.